Hey, what's up everyone? Eric Bowling here. Look, in today's video, I want to go over a pretty common nutrition myth, something that I see far too often with people who, they just start out in the gym, or let's say, the new year is right around the corner and you're probably getting ready to work out. And if you use magazines like bodybuilding magazines or Men's Health, or you get your advice from things like bodybuilding.com, or you understand my point, anywhere on the web that's like generic fitness advice, you're probably going to see the importance of a quote unquote post workout. And if you look at post workouts, you're more than likely going to be sold a whey protein or a post workout combined supplement that has like protein in it, it has carbs in it, etc. Or you may see some advice that says the best post workout is a whey protein shake and a banana, right? We see this all the time. And I want to go over just a very common nutrition myth, which is the post workout window, or also known as the anabolic window. Now, one of the things with post workout is, to be honest, the research actually shows something against it. You don't necessarily need to rush home or quick, after your very last rep, you shake it up and then you start to down your protein shake immediately after that rep is done. You don't need to do that. So you hear a lot about post workouts, and you hear things like immediately post workout, have whey protein and then have a banana. I'm going to tell you that that's actually the most moronic thing to do, because post workout, your whole goal is going to be one of two things. If your goal is fat loss, okay, so if you're fat, if you're over fat, you got 30 plus pounds of fat to lose, and your goal is to try to bring that fat down, you don't need carbs post-workout. Now, I know that's a very controversial topic, especially for people who follow a flexible dieting approach. I may sound like the devil to you, where you think, well, as long as it fits in your macros, it's okay, and as long as you're in a caloric deficit, it's okay. Well, over the years, with my experience with working with a lot of overweight or obese individuals, look, you can't afford carbohydrates. The reason why is because you're insulin resistant, and the way your body processes carbohydrates is a lot different than someone else. So you may have a 5% body fat flexible dieting coach tell you, oh, carbs are the greatest thing ever because I have them and I feel amazing. Yeah, well, that person is not obese and insulin resistant, and so the advice that they're using for themselves cannot be prescribed for someone who is really fat. So carbs are not your friend post-workout, or in any case, if you are fat, okay? So that's gonna be the first thing. If your goal is to build muscle and you're pretty lean, right? You can see maybe a 4-pack. You could basically pull the skin off of your biceps, and it's, you don't have much fat to grab there. If you're pretty lean, yes, you deserve carbohydrates and you can get away with them. But a banana is not a good choice. One of the reasons why is because it's high in fructose. Now, if you don't know, fructose is mainly handled in the liver. And so we want something that is high glycemic index, high insulin index, and something that is basically usually high in glucose, because that's going to hit the muscles and that's going to replenish the glycogen storage a lot faster. So let's assume you're not an extreme fat bastard and you can't afford your carbohydrates. What would be a good choice? Well, post-workout, you're gonna want something that is really high in glucose. Okay, so if you're gonna take the approach of having that with fruits, well, then you can get away with certain things like kiwis or apricots. You can use a carbohydrate mix, something that is really high in dextrose or glucose, or even like a mixture with maltodextrin in it. But you want to stay away from things that are really high in fructose, okay? And if you don't know what's high in fructose, look, it's really easy. Just go on Google and type in which fruits are high in fructose and avoid all those things. Now, the research is very clear that if you combine whey protein, so a fast-acting protein like whey, with your carbohydrates post-workout, the amount of glycogen you store will be a lot more and will be a lot faster. So it's very important to have a post-workout drink immediately post-workout if your goal is to build muscle. But if your goal is fat loss, you don't really have to worry about a post-workout shake. One of the reasons why is because muscle protein synthesis lasts for 24 to 48 hours. So you're technically okay having a solid meal post-workout and not having to worry that you're quote-unquote losing muscle because you're not getting a drink in. There's no research that shows that catabolism is that high post-workout. The research is just not there, and skipping a post-workout shake and going for a solid meal is not going to mean you're going to lose your gains. So the thing that you have to understand is there's a lot of myths out there in terms of what works, what doesn't work. But this is just very interesting because I see a lot of people, especially a lot of guys who have a lot of weight to lose, and they're doing these crazy things that you see bodybuilders do, like they'll down some gummy bears, or they'll have their whey protein shake, and then they'll down like 8 pixie sticks, and I really don't know why, but maybe that's why they stay fat year round. So what I want you to know is, look, if you can afford carbohydrates, if you deserve carbohydrates because you're not fat, right? You can see a 4-pack or a 6-pack and you got penis skin on your arms where it's, very thin, then yes, you do deserve carbohydrates and you can get away with them. But if you don't, then stick to a whey protein shake or stick to a solid meal. Post-workout, have something like steak or chicken and then maybe some veggies. But don't be afraid that you're going to lose your gains. So this is one of the most common myths I see. Once again, just remember those tips. If you can't afford carbohydrates, avoid fructose post-workout. Have something that is high insulin index, high glycemic index, low fructose, and combine that with a whey protein, and you'll be fine. If you cannot afford carbohydrates, if you don't deserve them, then stick to just a whey protein or just a solid meal, okay? So very simple, but a big mistake that I see far too often. And it's a mistake that you cannot afford to make. So implement that little tip. If that helps, leave a like. If I was not clear on something, post it in the comments so I can respond to you and clarify it. And until then, I will see you guys next time.